Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I am Mike, and today we're reviewing an actually scary film for once, Talk to Me. And I say for once because Jay and I did this video ranking our top 10 scariest films of all time live a while back. When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, there's very, very rarely one that actually scares you, which is wild. But you can officially add Talk to Me to that list. This will be a spoiler-free review. I just watched it yesterday. I'll tell you what, we'll talk spoilers at the end of the video. When we're done with the ranking, I'll give you guys plenty of warning and we'll go into it. So this is made by YouTubers that were called Raka Raka, I think that's how you say it, that made parodies, gory parodies, and horror shorts and stuff like that. And then they got the chance to direct this film, which I think is amazing. That's really cool when that happens. And I saw the trailer for a while back, and my whole opinion of watching the trailer was, oh, this looks like the nice mix between something that could actually be scary and something that would actually pull in like mass audiences. So I thought that this could be this year's, Smile, as far as, being a runaway hit like that, or Barbarian, something original. And that, I think, is the future of horror right now. If you look at horror and the way things are going, the way IP's going, the way studios are losing money over and over again on properties, hell, even Mission Impossible, I think, was a lot less than people thought it was going to make. And I think that with horror and everything else, I don't think, just if you ask me right now, I think The Exorcist it doesn't look like it's going to do very well, in my opinion. Everyone's realizing that, hey, we can make an original film that doesn't cost that much, and it could be a runaway hit and make us all this money. I think this is the future. So Talk to Me is the latest one of those films, and we haven't had a lot of them in 2023. This one, though, is, I think I can go ahead and call it so far the scariest movie of the year, at least up to this point for sure. So in the movie, this group of teenagers have this hand, and they talk about it in the movie. They pontificate on where the hand may have came from, and there's some interesting ideas there I'll let the movie talk about. But it's this like mannequin hand, and what they'll do is they have these parties and they film like TikToks and shit of them doing it together. Well, they'll tie someone to a chair and they hold on to the hand, they take it by the hand, and they say, "Talk to me." And when they say "talk to me," a dead person appears in front of him. A spirit, from wherever, appears sitting in front of him. And it's some scary stories to tell in the dark looking shit. Sometimes they're all like messed up from just the way that they died, or like, waterlogged, like that dude from X-Men, the senator that like gets all gloopy and goes through the walls, or, just from the way they died. They're all fucked up looking. And that you see them sitting in front of you, and then you say, "I let you in." And when you say, "I let you in," it disappears, their head jerks back, and they start doing all this crazy shit, and they start sort of like choking. I'm just gonna go ahead and fucking do it. They're like, "Oh, I knew I'd make my parents proud." Basically, that spirit possesses them. Now, once they break contact with the hand, and they, for some reason, know that they must do so within 90 seconds or else it wants to stay, they break contact with the hand, the person snaps back, the spirit, demon, whatever, is forced back out of them, and they move on, and every time it's a different one. So they will take turns doing this, filming each other, and their eyes turn black and they get all fucking wild. So just like whatever that demon or spirit wants to do, it takes control of their body. They all laugh at it, they all film it, and then they put it on the internet. And that's Talk to Me. And you know how it goes when you're fucking with shit like that. It's not going to end up going well. So things don't end up going well, and the main character Mia ends up taking a little bit of her work home with her, and things get really, really bad. Mia's played by Sophie Wilde, and she's really good in the movie. She's an outcast who's just doesn't really fit in anywhere she goes. She feels lonely, and she's dealing with the death of her mom, which was really just under fucked up circumstances, and there's still a lot of questions going on around that. You gotta give it to Australian horror. I swear, like, when they come hard. You don't have to ask whether or not it happened. From Wolf Creek to the loved ones to Talk to Me, it seems like every time I watch an Australian horror film, it has brought it, and it brings it in a way that like the mid 2000s used to bring it. They're mean, like they're meaner than your average film. And I won't say too much about where this film is mean and how that works, because I don't want to give anything away. I want you to be able to experience. We'll talk about it at the end, but it does have a very nice mean streak to it, which is shocking, especially when you see this and it's centered around teens and the parties and stuff like that. It's very easy to assume this is going to be a horror movie for like the Conjuring type universe and Conjuring fans and the Friday night, popcorn horror crowd. Nothing against that, But it's very easy to assume that when you watch this trailer, and the A24 slips in to that, and it's not at all what you expect. It's like a mix between fucked up Australian horror, A24, and a little bit of that popcorn stuff in there as well. So it makes this unholy triumvirate of which is really neat to watch. So why is it so scary? Why does it stand out? I don't want to oversell it and do a bunch of hyperbole or anything like that. That way you have such a high expectation going in if you haven't seen it. But it doesn't do anything that's not necessarily been done before. It's just the tone and the manner of which it's delivered to you. It's delivered to you in this mean way. When certain things happen to certain characters, it's like, oh, I didn't think you were gonna fucking do that. And then you did that, and I judge you and am yet equally entertained. Thank you. Have a nice day. Fuck me. One particular scene involving a character, you know what I'm talking about. So gnarly, and it just kept going and it kept going and it kept going and they kept showing it, and I was literally sitting there with my 13-year-old watching this in the theater, and we're like shoving each other in the wall. I'm like, nope, stop, put that fucking down. It's just one of those movies that actually has you, it elicits emotion, it elicits franticness in your soul when certain things happen. It's more jarring than scary. It's jarring and in your face, and it's loud. It feels like this is one of the loudest movies I've seen in a theater in a while. Much like Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell, I'll never forget just how loud and obnoxiously loud that movie was. And I say that in a good way because it was an experience. It was like a ride. It was like, damn, you were really trying to fuck with me. And that's Talk to Me. When they get to those points, they are trying to fuck with you, and I appreciate that. It's not safe by any means. It's not here to make you feel good about yourself. It's not here to make you feel happy. There's jokes and there's characters you like, but when this movie decides this is going to be a scary scene, they just push the pedal to the fucking floor, and you're going to have to deal with watching some gnarly shit. And when I say that, I'm thinking about two major set pieces in general, where it's like, please stop hitting yourself. And then I really like how it all wraps up. It's one of those things that wraps up where it's like, you could have, there's a whole plethora of options that they had. And in a lot of movies, they don't really have that. You're watching the movie and you're thinking, oh, this is going to end one of two ways. Which way is it going to end? And how are they going to try to make it seem like it was profound when we all kind of knew where it was going? In my opinion, Talk to Me sets things up around it. And it does the rare thing of setting things up around it to where any one of these different dominoes could fall and you don't know where it's going to go. So that'll end with some people being like, oh, I wish they would have gone this route for sure. But it's a rare movie that it was fascinating as they went into the third act because you really didn't know what was going to happen. And another thing about the movie is it did not feel like, sometimes these movies, you can tell they're like being try hard and they're trying so hard to be a little bit extra and do the A24 thing and be the demonized term of elevated horror. And Talk to Me never feels like it's trying to do that. And yet it still feels original. It still is its own thing. It never feels like it's trying to do that though. It's just trying to be a scary movie and scare you. And I walked out of this, I won't say it was as scary as my first experience with The Ring, for instance, which I know some people don't find that scary. The first time I saw that movie, I walked out of the theater and I was thinking to myself, man, I feel, ugh, and I'm not used to this. This is strange for me. The Ring's one of those movies that I felt disturbed after I watched it for the first time. Didn't see it coming at all. This was like that. It wasn't on that level, but it was like that for me. I walked out going, I just feel a little bit wrong. Like I just did something wrong. Like I feel a little dark inside, a little twisted, but it moved me in that way. In a world of sort of like, pillow-fisted horror that we get a lot of times in theaters, especially with movies that are like this, or on the other side, a lot of movies try to be too, highfalutin and they don't end up scary. This is neither of those things. It's not pillow-fisted. It's Australian horror, and it lives up to that name. And it's naturally original. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be the next Jordan Peele film. You know what I mean? It's just naturally, hey, we're here to tell a horror story. We're here to tell this story, and we're here to scare you. And that's our only agenda. And I really appreciated that. It's going to be very high on my end of year list. I'm going to give Talk to Me an 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. And it's what horror movies are supposed to be. And you didn't come to the theater for some Mickey Mouse shit. We're here to fuck you up. I'm not saying all horror movies should be this, but it's nice to get one that's actually just intent on disturbing the shit out of your little brain. Okay, so spoiler talk really quick as we're getting into it. If you haven't seen the movie, turn it off now. Please click the subscribe button on your way out and the like button. Really appreciate that. It helps. And if you click the notification bell, you get notified So much cool content coming out this week and this month. Now's definitely a time to remember to hit that button so YouTube doesn't drop us in the annals of history. The ending of this movie just had me all fucked up. I had somebody on Twitter and I thought, and this was the worst experience, man. Like, so I'm watching the movie and things are going crazy. This is right after the scene with her dad where the demon is tricking her, and it's is it her mom? Is it not her mom? And the dad comes in the room and he's all fucked up. And she's like, that he's actually pretending he's a demon. He's pretending to be your dad. And they show the dad to let you know that it's telling the truth. And then when her dad actually comes in the room and it tricks her into, she's trying to stab the demon, but she stabs her own dad in the neck. That is when the movie just got so goddamn mean, you know, and depraved. And you're thinking, man, shit, he's probably gonna die, isn't he? Her life is fucked. It's one of those movies that's so mean to the character that you're like, I actually want you to die. Because like, as fucked up as that sounds, and that's such a beautiful way that they did that, because they go back to the kangaroo that we saw, the kangaroo that we saw in the beginning, that you actually want to kill it because it's in so much pain. You don't want it to have to live with all that pain. And I think that was a weird parallel that they did with this movie, because when she kills her dad and her relationship with her friends all fucked up, and she's been through all this and her life is just so bad, part of you is almost, and I guess it's maybe in a sick way, part of you is almost wanting this character to be let out of their misery, because you just know there's no happy ending for them at this point. And that's a fucked up thing to feel. I'm telling you guys, the imagery that we saw when she goes down and sees hell with Riley in it was fucked up. That was scary as shit. It was just skin and blood and teeth, and that depiction of hell, even though it only lasted a few seconds, was just whoo. And when they're like, we're hurting him right now, like that, I don't imagine hell like that. You know what I mean? Like, you imagine fire and you think of all that, but just people just constantly just eating you and just in a pit of humans. Ew, God, that's haunting to think about. Fucked up, man. That's what I'll say. Yeah, I walked in there and I'm making out with my own brother. It's from the First Date Blink-182 video. That's what I say, man. Like father, like son. It's fucked up. Um, but yeah, that was gnarly. That was super gnarly, and that is an image that'll be stuck in my head for forever. But the way that it ends was wild, because like, I sort of saw it coming, but then again, when it actually happened, I was surprised. They filmed that amazing. She's about to drop him off the wheelchair into traffic, and then they jump to that. It was such a genius shot. They jump to just someone driving along the road, and then the body hits the ground, and it's actually her. So she threw herself off the mountain to save Riley. And it's all a little bit confusing, because it's like, did she believe the demons at that point? Did she decide she didn't believe them? Was she trying to save him? Like, what exactly was going on in her head? But she basically sacrifices herself to save Riley, because the demons are trying to get her to kill Riley so that they can basically keep him or inhabit him, because they want to stay. However you want to work that in, she dies, and then at the end, it's weird because she's in the hospital, right? And she's walking and she's following her dad down the hallway. And she's like, Dad, no. And all the lights are shutting behind her, which is really freaky if you think about like death and you think about dying, and that being like the world's way of being like, no, you're done here. Like, lights shutting off like that, and someone you love walking away. That was pretty haunting. But he gets to the elevator, right? And it's weird, because was he dead or not? Because when her friend finds him stabbed in the neck, he's still moving around. So I don't know if they're both in the afterlife together in that moment, and either maybe he's getting in an elevator and so to speak going up to heaven, whereas she's trapped here in limbo because of maybe some of the choices that she's made and things she's done. I don't know. Um, I don't know how they depict that, or how the movie's idea of religion and all that stuff in the afterlife really is. But basically, she's dead, and then she walks up to a candle and grabs the hand, and now she's the demon in the room sitting across from somebody else at a party. And it's almost a fucked up way of being like, oh, so it's almost the movie's fucked up way of being like, so you thought it was funny to fuck with people in the afterlife and dead and laugh at them and toy with them, and this is your fate now. Or another thing that I thought was mean about the movie, not just the way it ended, but all of the asshole, like, worst friends, like the worst pricks, all just walked on and lived their lives. And some of the best, like the most decent kids in this group were the ones who got fucked. Riley, god damn, his face, the makeup effects on that. God, bravo. That shit was gnarly, wasn't it? When he was fucking, and it just kept opening up even more goo. Amazing job on those effects for sure. Just whoa, that was rough to watch, especially afterwards. And like every time he would go through something new, you're like, stop doing that to him. Shit, fuck. God damn it, Steve. But yeah, so those are the things that really stuck out to me of the movie. I love the ending of the movie. I like how mean it was. Movies and most movies these days are just afraid to do shit like that, and it was mean. And I walked out feeling goo inside, and I feel like that was something you just don't get much from horror movie. I wouldn't want them all to be that way, but I respect the shit out of their choice to just be fucking mean today. Like, today's the day. We're not watching Ted Lasso. We're watching Led Tasso. And that's what they fucking did. And I can appreciate that. We need those every once in a while. You need, when you go into a horror movie, to expect, hey, maybe this is going to end sad. Maybe this is going to end in a fucked up way. That way you're in the moment. You're not just, well, we all know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Everything's going to turn out fine. Like, you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. These movies need to exist. So that's my thoughts on it. I loved it. What did you guys think about it? Comment down below. Just put a spoiler warning if you're going to talk about the spoilers, so that and hit the enter bar a couple times before you actually type the spoiler. That way anybody who hasn't seen the movie yet won't read it and be spoiled. So that's what I was going to say, by the way. 10 minutes to go in the movie, someone was like, it was all in the dad's head. And I was like, why would you tell me that? Like, on Twitter. And I'm thinking that's what's going to happen. So when that didn't happen, I was like, wait, what the fuck? And it really shocked me. So that had me fucked up. Hey, I'm running out of battery space. I love your all's fucking face. I hope you guys have an amazing day.
Hello, listener. Do you like scary movies? What's your favorite scary movie? Well, Jay and Mike like scary movies too. You should go and subscribe to their podcast, We Watched a Movie. Because if you don't, I'll gut you like a... Well, I think you get the idea. Enjoy yourselves while you still can.